Here we have verse 5 of the 12th chapter of the Gospel of John. This is the setting in which Mary has come and anointed Jesus, in anticipation, of course, we know otherwise, of his death and burial that's coming up. And he is the subject of that, and Judas, who is there, been identified by John here, protests, because it seems to Judas that it's a bit of a waste. And that's what he voices now in verse 5. So this is, in a sense, a quote of Judas now raising his objection to this apparent waste. And so Judas says, dia. This is the preposition with the accusative as we have it here. It means on account of. So on account of te. And then this is the interrogative pronoun. We can see the unexpected accent acute there before following words. Means it's the interrogative, so on account of what, as if to pose a question is grammatically the idea. On account of what, and then tuto, the demonstrative pronoun, with the article which is customarily added, tuto, to muron, on account of what, and then the nominative here, this the myrrh, or this the ointment. On account of why was this ointment, uk, the negation eprophe. Eprophe is from peprosco, which is actually a reduplicated form of prao, which means to sell. This particular form of the word, somewhat unusual in the New Testament, means to sell, often used in connection with selling of slaves. That idea, although we don't have any sense that anything like that was in view here, but nevertheless, that's the notion. This is the third-person singular aorist passive indicative. So why was this myrrh not sold? Triakosion. This is from the word for 300, and it simply is in the genitive here to show that it was an amount. That is to say, why was it not sold for this amount? Denarios, this is the common currency, of course, in the first century. A denarios was commonly understood to be a day's wage, and so 300 denarios would be roughly a year's wages, and that probably was about what this myrrh was worth. It was very expensive, so you can imagine a year's worth of wages for a working man is the value that's represented here. And so Judas poses the question, why wasn't this ointment sold for 300 denario kai, and then edothe from didomi, means to give. This is again the third person singular, aorist passive indicative, and sold. And then ptokois, this is from ptokos, which means the poor. It's not the only word used in the New Testament for poor. It's a word that actually has its roots in a more ancient idea of being bowed down or cowering as if in fear. It was a word in classical Greek that was only used really in a negative sense, in a kind of a pathetic description of somebody cowering in fear. In the New Testament, it's given increased nobility, and it becomes the word often used for the poor, who were seen as cowering, but of course they're given particular dignity when we reach the New Testament narrative. Blessed are you poor, Jesus says in the Luke's version of the Beatitudes and so on. So anyway, the question is being posed here by Judas. How come this wasn't sold and given to the poor? How come this waste? Showing rather a breathtaking lack of appreciation for the dignity and importance of the event that he had just witnessed.